to announce today's speaker. We have Vinija, who is a AI leader at Amazon, which is very cool. And she's a great inspiration for women in tech. And she's done her formal education from Stanford, which is very remarkable. Thank you so much for joining us, Vinija, and very happy to have you. Uh, all right, I'll give the mic to you now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Yukti, for that introduction. And I just wanted to, before we start, do a quick shout out. It's Yukti's birthday. So everyone go on LinkedIn and wish her a happy birthday today. Happy birthday, Yukti.
Thank you so much. You're too kind. That's so sweet.
Absolutely. All right, let's get started. But before we get started on today's topic, I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about SingleStore's database here. So if you're new here and if you've never used SingleStore database, it's the world's only database that empowers users to transact, analyze, and contextualize data in real time. And we'll actually see the visual here. This is a quick visual to just support what I was talking about. SingleStore is capable of supporting both analytics as well as transactional level of workloads in the same system. And this is kind of made possible by the patented storage technology. So regardless of what the data is, what the ingestion is, here SingleStore is able to support it ultra fast, and they have a single cloud solution available there as well. Just wanted to quickly mention that as well. All right. So thank you so much, folks, for joining today. Today, we'll be talking about how to personalize LLMs in banking with leveraging CopilotKit. We'll go through first the theory aspect of it, the background of how to kind of personalize these LLMs specifically for banking, look at prompting, any other techniques and why they don't make sense for this specific use case. And we'll leverage CopilotKit, and there's an awesome demo and code available for you after the webinar as well. All right, so let's start with LLMs for personalized banking applications. There's definitely different use cases for which you can leverage LLMs for banking, but since we're really looking for the personalized use case here, there's two different ones that kind of come to mind. There's customer support and personalized financial advice, and we'll actually be looking at both in today's demo. So in terms of customer support, you can enable your chatbot or your virtual assistant here to handle customer inquiries in real time. Say they have questions about their balances, transaction details, branch information, or any more complex issues. You can just resolve that in real time rather than having to wait for, say, someone to become available in real time. Along with that, personalized financial advice. So LLMs can analyze a user's financial data, their spending habits, their savings, their investments, their salary coming in, and offer customized advice. This could be more so used as suggestions or budgeting investment opportunities, just tips that can help the customers achieve their financial goals. So before we start, kind of wanted to talk about what would the data look like for this specific use case, right? The use case of customer support, as well as personalized financial advice. So first and foremost, most importantly, what we will need here is the user's input data. So this will have any variety of questions that the users can ask, commands they can do, and inputs that the user will provide to the banking app, whether it's just show me how much money I have in my savings or checkings account, or what is my bill this month for my credit card, or what are the branch hours, or anything that correlates with both their personal accounts as well as branch information and bank information. How much did I spend on groceries last month? This is very easy to do with LLMs because they can really look at the entire encompassing data there all at once, understand your intent of spent on groceries, not on anything else, leverage that information and provide it to your end user in seconds So that is a great improvement there from, say, what we have currently. In terms of response data, that's another data that we can look for leveraging in the LLMs for banking use case. And what we mean by response data is it refers to the chatbot's formulated responses to the user's queries. You can use kind of direct responses about account details or guidance to more complex banking processes. So what kind of format do we want the responses to look like? You spent $250 on groceries last month. We want to make sure that the response data adheres to all of the policies and safety guidelines that the bank wants to offer there. Transactional data. So another type of data that we'll really need to make sure that our banking use case has is transactional data. And what that includes is details needed to process the transactions, such as transfers, bill payments, auto pay, any deposits coming in. And what that can look like is transaction details for a bill payment to a utility company coming in every month. Next, what we'll have is banking products and service data. So I touched on this previously a bit, where we want the LLM to be able to communicate not just about the user's information, but also about the bank's information and the other products that the bank may be offering at the moment. Maybe they have an offer running on a certain credit card. If you open a line, you get a certain number of credit or some cash back involved. We want to make sure our LLM is geared up and has that information from the get-go. So whenever a user question comes in, it's able to pull and leverage that information and be able to convert a customer into using, say, even more products than they already do. So now let's delve into our topic of personalized LLMs for banking. Before we started, I kind of wanted to show you what the demo we will be building today and what it will look like with leveraging CopilotKit. So on the right here, what we'll have is the chatbot that we were just talking about. And this is powered by CopilotKit. What CopilotKit really does is allows you to integrate LLMs into your application seamlessly. And you'll see the code base. It's very structured, very easy to integrate, and very easy to change as well. Right here, it's being powered by OpenAI's ChatGPT 4, but say you wanted to choose a different model, the configuration is very easy than say if you were wanting to do it from scratch. So here we'll just give it transactional information about the user. And what it'll do is it'll talk to our actually backend application here and be able to visually show you on a spreadsheet all of your different transactions and all of the different inputs that you've asked it to do. So just keep this in mind as we go through the rest of the slides. So now, in terms of how do we look to personalize or adapt LLMs? There's really two ways to personalize or adapt these LLMs. There's prompting or fine-tuning. And prompting involves providing these specific instructions or examples into the input of the model. The benefit here is that it's immediate adaptation. You don't need any retraining. It's easy to implement, but the cons is you have limited control over the actual model's behavior, and it could potentially be inconsistent for complex tasks. Fine-tuning, on the other end, updates the actual model's parameters using smaller task-specific data sets. It's higher task-specific performance, consistent output for every task. But the con is obviously the computational resource here and the potentially large data set that you'll need to leverage here in order to be able to fine-tune. There's a lot of different flavors of fine-tuning as well. This specifically talks about full fine-tuning when you're updating the full model's weight. There's parameter efficient fine-tuning techniques with LoRa, quantized LoRa. We also have Mora now. All of these different techniques, what they actually look to do is find new ways to kind of fix that computational resource time that we have with the full fine tuning there. But you still need to have that data set. And for the banking use case, we can't really fine tune with our customers' data. So what we're looking to do here is we're looking to personalize this chatbot that we've seen in this earlier demo picture. And we wanted to personalize and gear towards our users. Now, this data is private and sensitive, and we may not want to actually fine tune our LLM with this data. So because of this, what we'll be doing is using a prompting strategy. And in doing so, what we'll be doing is actually feeding a few shot examples into our LLM, and then it will be able to create our output here. And this is something that banks, any financial institutions can leverage out of the shelf right now as well. So what will happen is as a user logs into their session, into the browser, um, the backend services will be able to provide the user's information, that whether it be their demographic information, their account information, their credit information, and also the bank's information with any products that are coming in, all into the LLM as input with its larger context length that are available. And then that'll serve as context into the LLM as its prompt. And then we will also feed in the user's query next. So you'll have all of it'll have the full view into the customer's background, as well as the bank and the branch's background. Then it'll better be able to answer the user's question. So let's look at the different prompting for user-specific personalization strategies here. Why are we looking to use it? I've already touched on it a little bit, but want to look at the other aspects on how prompting for the personalized banking use case is really the way to go. So what you'll have with this strategy is you'll have dynamic interaction. So instead of a static model, the prompting kind of allows the LLM to dynamically adjust the responses as they're coming for the specific user or the specific context. So in that case, it's a very tailored response to each user. And it also adheres to their current needs and preferences. You can also take this a step further, and since you're getting all of the user's demographic information and all of their background, you can also personalize it to an even finer grain degree and understand what product does this user demographic generally like, and maybe we can start pitching this product to the user as they're interacting with the LLM and just have a better ROI in that case. There's also quick adaptation with prompting. Changes in the user's behavior, preferences can be quickly accommodated by just kind of adjusting the prompts that are sent to the LLM without needing to fully retrain it. Say the user is now paying a mortgage or paying for college, and there's been changes to their spending habits or their behaviors, their financial behaviors. There's very quick adaptation with the prompting strategies. There's lower resource requirements. So unlike fine tuning, of course, there's in terms of training data, computationally prompting is very less intensive. And you can also leverage creative prompt engineering methods to meet different specific needs. So can be done empirically here, where we can try different types of prompts and see which ones really lead to the best user engagement. Maintaining model integrity. So prompting utilizes the general knowledge and the capabilities of the LLM without modifying its parameters. So this also ensures that the base model remains stable and consistent across different applications, which may not be the case with full fine-tuning, as you can have catastrophic forgetting, and the model can actually forget its general knowledge and capabilities it was previously trained on. There's ease of implementation, there's cost effectiveness, there's scalability. So these features, all of these combined, make prompting a very powerful tool in terms of personalizing user experience in the banking app, and provides flexible, efficient ways to enhance the delivery and customer satisfaction. And if you want to read more about specific prompting strategies, you can go to my blog on venija.ai. Now let's talk about CopilotKit and how CopilotKit really helps you build your custom app and integrate LLMs into it seamlessly. So first of all, what is CopilotKit? CopilotKit is a development framework for integrating language models into application and enabling the development of features like chatbots or text-to-speech services. They have this component structure. So when we look into the code base, I'll highlight that, but their component structure makes it very easy to set up application and manage the context and manage any child components, also altering all of your different visuals and views that you may have for your application. They also support API integration. So they support customizable API endpoints for flexibility, and using either personal language models backend, or you can also leverage actually Copilot's cloud managed services. They have platform compatibility and they work with different development environments. They are able to integrate with Next.js, Node.js, and support Firebase, as well as other cloud functions. It's very easy to use. You can get up and started in about 30 minutes, and they actually provide a lot of boilerplate code to start off with on their website, if you'd like to just kind of play around and leverage it. And they also offer a lot of rich documentation and support, detailed documentation for developers to be able to get up and running as quickly as possible. So just quickly wanted to also show their page, and it's the other benefit of why you should leverage CopilotKit for your LLM development applications. There's easy setup. Initializing your project takes very little, and it's able to be configured with minimal effort required from your end. There's comprehensive documentation available on their website, which is able to help you guide through any issues you may face as you're looking to develop. There's a huge developer community for CopilotKit for any additional resources that you may need. They have wide variety of integration support, as we saw, and they also offer scalability in both small and large projects. In terms of setting up and configuration, I remember when I was setting this up, at most what I needed to do was make sure that my API keys were all set up in my environment document variables there, as well as making sure my front end looked as I wanted it to. So having it set up from scratch, very easy to do, and would highly recommend checking them out, checking their website out. All right, now to the fun part. Now let's look at the demo. Okay. So I'm going to just quickly switch over to the demo here. Yeah. All right. So wanted to showcase first that using CopilotKit, you can both use Versal to do a deployment, or you can also run it locally. Once I switch over to the code base, you can see that how I'm running it locally with my application, and it looks the exact same, it works the exact same, but depending on your latency needs, maybe you want to customize it in different ways. Maybe you want to personally host it, so you can also run it locally, or you can run it and deploy it using Versal. And I believe SingleStore has prior webinars that showcase Versal, and I would recommend looking at those too if this is the path you'd like to go forward. All right. So now for the demo, the prompt I have here is, I'll just add that in really quickly. Okay. Okay. So we're going to be personalizing our bank app using the prompt. And what I'm doing here now is I'm giving it about 10 examples. So this is few shot prompting of John. And what we're doing is just giving John's background. So he starts with a checking account balance of $1,000. he transfers 500 from his checking account. He receives his monthly salary. He pays his credit card bill of $250, withdraws, receives different credit and debit information onto his account. I think there may be, let me just refresh. Let's just try that again. All right. We having just try that one more time. I think there may be a connection issue with OpenAI, but in that case, I can show you a previous run that I've just done earlier this morning, before the webinar when it worked smoothly, of course. So what we have is John's checking account, all of his information and all of his credit all available here. And what I did is I asked it to create a spreadsheet with this information. So it took out all of the information and all of the different transactional information that I'd given it, and it was able to create this whole balance sheet. So you can see here his initial balance started out with $1,000, his saving account, his credit account, retirement fund, all of it available to be seen here. Withdrawals, all of the different, and he paid a friend, birthday gift, all of it to be able to seen in one place. Once it created the spreadsheet, I just gave it a prompt and I asked it, how much money does John have right now? So it was able to actually interact and look at all of the previous data as well as the spreadsheet, do all of the calculations from the checking account, the saving account, the credit card payments, the retirement fund, and was able to tell me that John had about $3,000 across all of his accounts currently. So then, given the current economy, say John wanted to buy a house. So I asked, how can he save for a $1 million house that he wants to buy in his future? What I got was there's a lot of explainability here, which is amazing because what we're leveraging in backend here is the LLM, which is offering a lot of the detailed, rich information here. So saving for the $1 million house is a significant goal that requires a detailed financial plan. So this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. In order to personalize the LLM to give both customer support. So it was able to give customer support here by telling me how much money does John have, and then also financial help and tips. How can he save to buy his $1 million mansion in the future? So it's helping John determine the down payment cost, set the time frame John needs to decide by when he wants to buy the house, help him create the budget. So John's able to create the budget depending on his potential savings, reduce his expenses, increase his income, invest wisely. All of these amazing tips that will work just generally well, but then it also goes into the customized information that's specific for John. So say he's doing a 200K down payment over 5 years or 60 months. This is how much he'll have to save per month. Over 10 years, this is what he'll have to pay over 15 years. So it also gives you the disclaimer that it's not taking into account any information it cannot see. So any investment that he'll be doing, perhaps he has a salary increase, any other dynamic information that is not available in his bank at the moment is something that it's not able to see. So what it's basing its information on is any of the past history from John. And I was actually able to add this to the sheet as well. And it created the sheet and it was able to add it here. So we can see that in monthly savings for 5 years, that's the estimate. Monthly savings, that's the estimate. And this is actually customizable too. So you can manually just add anything here as well. And you can also just kind of converse with the LLM and add anything else. So say, what about in 20 years? How much will John have to save for his house? Hopefully this works. I think there's an issue with the OpenAI endpoint right now, unfortunately, during the demo. So what happens is, in case of that, what we can do is always switch out the API endpoint. Right now, it's leveraging OpenAI's GPT-4o, the most recent model, and I think the API is having an issue with that, maybe because of traffic. So what you can do is always change the backend model to say something open source or maybe a different version of that as well. And quickly, I also wanted to share the code. So let me switch over to the screen. 1 second here. Let me pull out this code and I can have the code base. Are you able to see my development environment?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. So what we have here is under the source folder is all of the code base here. So you have the app, you have the components, and you have the utils. And this is just how easy it is to start building out the application. What I did here is I took one of their previous prior examples and I modified it a bit. So I was able to keep their structure intact. And you can see here under APIs is where I'm leveraging the CopilotKit application. And we have the routing, we have the research, and we also have the other endpoint capabilities here. And all this is able to do is it's looking to take all of your information, whether it's your backend calls to your LLM, take that API call and just have it integrate within your components. So your components is what lives here. And since what we have in our components is the spreadsheet as well as the sidebar. So the spreadsheet code is all available here. This is the preview. And then the sidebar is where the actual chatting and the actual conversing is happening with the LLM. You can also have the single spreadsheet where actually this application is able to, so this application is able to have the single spreadsheet and we can, this is John's financial activity that we saw. We also can just customize and make our own spreadsheet here with different different users, different applications. So basically, even using an application like this out of the box, it would be very helpful for any user, any kind of banking industry that's looking to have a more personalized flavor and to be able to give their users a more personalized service. Being able to see all of the different transactional information that is happening. And in fact, if the user is also able to integrate a lot of their investments and just kind of give their entire financial portfolio to the service, the LLM would be able to give even richer financial tips and advice and even richer customer service. So if we were able to just within the prompt give it, say, these are John's current transactions that we looked at. And also, these are the different products that we are offering and the different products that we are kind of looking to promote this month. See how we can correlate it to John. So along with this financial advice, what the LLM can then do is not so much dictate, but at least give as a suggestion initially saying, hey, I see that this is the kind of credit and these are the credit card and the payments you're doing. And perhaps you'll benefit from switching to this different credit card, which will give you more points, or this different account, which will help you save towards your goal of buying that house and making that plan of buying that house even better. So that's another thing we can do. And I also wanted to share CopilotKit's website as well here. So this is CopilotKit's website, and what they're able to do here, as I mentioned, you can also ask them for a quick demo. They're very responsive. This is their documentation. You can see how much documentation they have from different classes, the articles on how to just get jump started, whether you use Azure or different cloud, upgrading to use Copilot action, um, the different components they offer, the text area, the chat, sidebar is what you saw here today with the conversations that we had, the text area, the runtime. This is just their documentation. Outside here, you're also able to see the different actions that you can do in order to increase your productivity, the knowledge. I believe they also have support for retrieval augmented generation. They have AI-enabled text editing. Amazing, very rich framework and product that they offer here, and you're able to use it right from the start. They have a GitHub page as well, where they're able to kind of give you any of the projects that they have worked with using their own CopilotKit framework that you can just download and get up and running with. They also offer within their GitHub instructions on how to take that different tutorial and how to have it up and running locally for yourself. So you can run it with Versal, or you can run it locally here, and very flexible, very easy to integrate. This is just our customized banking application we saw here, but the use cases of this are definitely endless here. And I just wanted to kind of reiterate for this use case, for our banking specific use case, we leveraged the prompting strategy because we didn't want to share this financial information and update the model's kind of weights with this information. We wanted to kind of secure privacy of the users, but that's also another option. You can also leverage, instead of using GPT, you can say, if you're looking for a more specific domain, maybe medical or maybe different language domain, you can change it to the LLM that serves that better, whether it be Medllama or some LLM that has more information for your specific domain, so that it's able to also, in its general knowledge capabilities, leverage all of that information along with the user's information and give it even more rich feedback and even more rich tips and advice. So with that, I'll hand the stage back over to Yukti.
All right. That was really cool. I mean, even I think I need to make this because you know what? My my salary is credited and then I just spend it all on like random things. Random, like, so this is something which is very cool. And you know what? This is like AI is eating up jobs of like financial advisors, I think, at this point. Which is very cool. But we have one very amazing question to start with. Like someone commented that what are like the concerns of safety? Like how safe this is exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's start with this.
Absolutely. Great question. So in terms of safety, there's two different aspects that we're looking at from the demo today. We're looking at CopilotKit's backend that's enabling you to kind of develop any backend, any visualization. So we chose a spreadsheet here, as well as CopilotKit, allowing you to integrate different LLMs into your application. So if you're looking for in terms of user safety, the LLMs are being called from here in this demo. It was OpenAI. So when you're providing that data to them within the prompting strategy, you know, they take their own security and their own kind of guidance into account. So you can definitely have that. And you can also kind of, if that's not something you want, where you don't want to leverage APIs and call OpenAI and share your users' data, then what you can do is maybe use, say, an open source model that you host yourself locally and change that part of the whole demo here. So you can change the LLM part where you own the LLM. And so the data that's going in, it's going into your specific LLM, and the rest of it stays the same. So very easy to integrate and very easy to kind of exchange all of these bits out quickly. Yeah.
Right. That actually makes a lot of sense. Like that we can actually host it locally.
Yeah.
Definitely a very good idea, but I feel like someone might need a very strong GPU depending on the kind of data that they have, right?
Yeah,
So, hmm. But
definitely.
it's a good way. Like, yeah, that's how we can tackle any safety issues. So, yeah, there's the answer. So, then we have one more question about Copilot AI. Yeah. So Mani asks, is the front end created by Copilot AI being created by Streamlit under the hood?
So this is there's no Streamlit under the hood for this specific application. I'm sure you can integrate it for yours, but what I leverage is their off-the-shelf components in order to make the UI here. Their sidebar as well as the spreadsheets. I'm sure you can integrate Streamlit into it, but off the shelf, no, that was not what was available, and that's not what I leveraged here under the hood.
All right. One small question. A lot of people were asking, is this free, like Copilot?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely free. This whole thing that I ran end to end, fully free. In fact,
Wow.
they offer the code on their GitHub, so you can download it right now. This is just the banking application. They do a lot more different applications. So definitely go head over to their GitHub. It's all open and publicly available.
Very interesting for people, those who are already working like as developers, those who want to actually, make some tweaks in their programs. And it's also very interesting for students, those who are looking for their thesis projects and like their internship projects. It's a good way, it's a very amazing informative demo. So there's one more question from Gaurav continuing on the security question. Is there a capability to fine tune using federated learning?
Yeah, absolutely. And this goes back to kind of your choice of LLM use here. So if off-the-shelf LLM is not what you want to do, if you wanted to fine-tune in your specific use case, then I would recommend, kind of going through that open source path where you take your LLM, fine-tune it with your data, however you want it. You want federated on device, however you want your data to live to ensure privacy, and then just kind of add that into the application. So the application in the end just runs locally. I showed you both where you can deploy with Versal and you can also kind of host it locally. So in your case, what you'll be doing is hosting it locally, and everything that you'll have from the LLM as well as the interaction will live in-house for you. Yeah.
Right. Akmal, do you want to pick up any question?
Yeah, I think there was a couple alluded to your choice, Venetia, in terms of LLM. Why pick one over another? And so forgive me, but I'll paraphrase. Why do you like Gemini? I think that was a comment. So,
Yeah.
or Gemini. How are you pronouncing?
Absolutely. So I guess it would depend on your use case here. Gemini is multimodal. So if you are looking to send it multimodal data, right now we just had a chat application,
Yeah.
but perhaps you could also have images sent. Maybe you just kind of want to activate a credit card and you just want to show that, okay, I have the credit card with me, and or verify yourself with your ID and have that also being sent in that case, you would definitely want to leverage a multimodal. It also takes in speech. So maybe you want to verify just with your voice that, hey, it's me using the account. Can you just quickly tell me I'm on the go? How much do I have in my savings right now? So in that case, that's what I would go with. Um, OpenAI, it's not free, but there's, it's been there for a while, the GPT family of LLMs. So they definitely have a lot of vast amount of knowledge already in there. And if you're able to pay, and if you don't want to host by yourself, then I would go with that.
Yeah.
But if there's any other use case where you want to own it, or even if you want to go for task specific LLMs, medical, anything legal, anything else, then I would choose different ones in that case. So that's kind of how I would think about that.
Yeah, I think one other important question is that, I mean, you're covering a topic that, in some ways, if you think about it, it's quite sensitive. Okay, I mean, banking information, details of your account, your expenditure, these are things you wouldn't necessarily want to share with the whole world. So I think there's a couple of points being raised there in terms of privacy of the data. As far as I know, and I think this question has been asked before, OpenAI often comes up, and I know their policy has been they do not retain customer data unless you give them specific permission to do so. So that's one thing. And the other thing is that if you're working in the cloud, I mean, things like private link, for example, I mean, AWS offers this as well. Microsoft does it with OpenAI. That's another way that you can have some level of confidence that the data are not being shared entirely on the internet. Okay, there is some control there. That I think is a worry. And again, I saw a couple of points there being raised by people saying that banking do not use open source. I think that's not true. I have worked with the financial community in London. A lot of the financial institutions are actually some of the biggest users of open source technology. But I get it. I mean, there are certain types of technologies. LLMs are one of those, is that one kind of area at the moment where everybody's interested. They're all experimenting. They want to try it out. They want to see, all these issues of security, safety. And we see this time and time again. Something new comes along. People worry about these issues. We solve the problems. We use them for practical applications and we move on. Okay. And then the next big thing comes along and we worry about exactly the same issues. So if you have any thoughts on that, I mean, are you seeing customers starting to look at this, actually building the kind of thing that you showed today?
Actually, yeah. I use Bank of America and I already see the chatbot there and I leverage it all the time because it's so much easier to just chat and ask different questions than trying to figure out where on the website do I click to find this. So I actually leverage this all the time and I think it's very convenient. In terms of privacy, I definitely get it. Big concern there. But yeah, fair point to you where you mentioned that, open source models are used in banking as well. The other option is, of course, if the LLM is the only question and the issue piece of this model, depending on how large your institution is, to perhaps even look at something in-house or looking to fine-tune and adapt something in-house and seeing going that way. But yeah, OpenAI has mentioned that they do not retain user data. There's also different ways of sending user data in anonymous fashion. So the user's information is not sent, just the kind of transactional information is sent, because what it's looking to do is kind of give you advice and it doesn't need to know who the user is to give that advice.
Right. Thank you.
We have one very interesting question from John. Just let me fetch it. Yeah. So, what is the extendability with frameworks on Next.js or RSC components like ShardCN? I don't know how to pronounce that. It's ShardCN, SHADCN.
Yeah, absolutely. So for CopilotKit, it's able to integrate with all of these that you've mentioned here. And what that really allows you to do is kind of the world's your oyster. You can change the different components visually as you want. Maybe you want the LLM and the chatbot piece to be floating around as you're going through your website. Maybe you want like different pages and to retain the same conversation you're having. So really, with the integration of all of these technologies, what it's really able to do is allow you to create any rich and any different product that you really need to do for your customers and for your backend there. Yeah.
All right. So we have one, what should I say, comment and a question from Tirupati Reddy. They say in this demo, it sounds like data feeding is happening through the prompting before we chat with it. So just like you can like comment on that. But in the real world, we have data somewhere in the data store and hook it up to uh, it to answer the questions. All right. So how can that be done with this Copilot?
Yeah, great question there. So it can be done the same way. What we're leveraging is the prompting strategy, and we're kind of giving it both the context. I touched on this a little bit earlier. So what he mentioned is correct. In the real world, that the data will live in different databases, maybe SingleStore. And what we'll be doing is we'll actually, as the user logs into their session, what in the backend processes, what it'll be doing is giving a lot of the users information, their background, perhaps their session information, as well as their transaction information and anything else that is relevant and maybe current, maybe they'll give the past month, or maybe even more, depending on how they like to structure their prompt and what they have found empirically works best for their users. So they'll look to leverage all of that information from the database. They'll retrieve it, and these are all the backend services working, and they'll combine that information and send it into the LLM as the prompt, along with the prompt, and then say that the user asks, how do I save for my down payment for the house? It'll have all of that information along with the question sent all at once, and then the LLM will be able to give a response with context in mind.
All right. Akmal, do you want to pick up one more question?
I think there was a couple of questions there about SingleStore, and I think one requiring an extremely lengthy answer. So the best thing to do, I mean, if you have a detailed requirement for SingleStore, easiest thing to do is just reach out to us, team@singlestore.com. Okay, so that TEAM@singlestore.com, and we can follow up with you on that one. That's the best way to do it. But other than that, I think I didn't see anything else in particular that caught my eye. I think, Vanija, you covered the main aspects of that. Your choice of tool, the LLMs, the issues of security and safety around that as well, and the fact that there are deployed systems out there actually doing similar sorts of things today. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions that come up, feel free to reach
Uh,
out to me.
Yeah, we actually have a couple of questions. One question from Mani Sarkar. It's not exactly a question. It's like a, what should I say? It's a suggestion. So they say that it would be quite useful to be able to see examples of how Copilot AI's implementation is used to implement same things like we do via LangChain, Llama Index, etc. So
Hmm.
maybe we can actually, go for a webinar on this thing, something like this. It's a good suggestion, I
Yeah,
feel.
definitely great idea.
Yeah. One more thing is about does the math calculation is it made from any tool that Copilot Kit exposes or directly calculated by the LLM?
Yeah, so the brain in this demo was all the LLM. So the math and everything is done by the LLM, but that's up to you. That's something maybe if you want to do it customized way, you can pull it out of there. Even the creating of the spreadsheet, the LLM kind of instructs the UI, and then the UI is able to just generate it. So the brain here for the entire demo was the LLM.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, I think we'll just pick one last question. It's fine. Okay. So one question from Divya. She says, how is this integrated to the bank UI and Android apps both? Can we run this on this chart independently rather than integrating that with the app?
Yeah, absolutely. You can just have this app run independently without the visualization. You can have it run in a different format there. The only reason I kind of had this spreadsheet is so that we can also see how it can integrate with your website and anything. But yeah, you can definitely remove that and just have the sidebar component there. Or you can have a different, maybe not a spreadsheet, maybe a website, maybe something else. It's very customizable, however you like to do it.
All right. Vinny is just flagging you. You got amazing response. People are saying you're a great speaker and uh, amazing demo and food for thought. So very
Thank you.
nice words for you. Thank you so much for, taking your time and um,
Absolutely.
hosting these sessions with us. So it's like
That's
very, yeah. So we have one more suggestion, like from Aniket. They say that maybe an intelligent chatbot integrated with food delivery app, which
Hmm.
can give total calorie intake and how to offset them
Wow.
using some plans. That's that's very interesting. Okay, like this can also be like a webinar idea that we can actually come up with. Very thank you guys for these suggestions. We really appreciate it. Like it's amazing to have you all participate in the discussion so well. So, Akmal, what's your comment on that?
I think that's great. The more of these kind of vertical examples that we can see, I think the better, because it gives people confidence that yes, you can actually use it in, for real problems, and you can deploy it for production and so on. And I think the rate of change and the pace of change of technology that I think I've seen over the last 2 years or so, it's been very, very fast. I mean, it's greater than at any time in my IT career. And I'm an old timer, I've been around, no hair, so been around and seen things and been there, done that, got the t-shirt kind of thing. It really is phenomenal in terms of where we are going. And I think there's great potential, but I think there's also great fear from people as well, worrying about safety, security. Like I said before, I think these things will get addressed, as they always tend to do, once something new comes along. And once those issues are solved to people's satisfaction, having these kind of vertical examples or different examples from different industries demonstrating the practical benefits of the technology, where it improves your cost of ownership, return on investment, makes you able to deliver your products and services much faster, gets you in the space before your competitors. All of these things, regardless of what you're interested in doing, these will give you confidence to build and deploy. And so I think this is a great time to experiment and try for yourself. And so as Vinija has already shared her GitHub repo link there in the chat, I think you posted it. That's great. That's people can have a look at that, and it's a kind of starting point. First steps. Take some steps there. Try it out and then build upon that.
Akmal always gives great advice. Please listen to him. So, all right. So, thank you guys for the questions. It was really nice chatting with everyone, and we'll definitely, loop in more and more webinar suggestions as much as we can. So, really appreciate it. Vinija, can you just go to the slides with the future webinars? Yeah, thank you so much. So, thank you, Vinija, for joining, and thank you, Akmal, for joining. Just quick notes before I announce today's raffle winners. So we've got amazing sessions coming up for anyone, those who have joined late. So on June 4th, we have choosing best fit embeddings for your AI app, OpenAI, Mistral, Llama, etc. On June 6th, a very anticipated webinar that we have, Zapier Central plus SingleStore full RAG agents, great experts coming to speak. Please attend this one. It's a highly informative session. June 10th, we have Beginner's Guide to RAG Agents with Professor Tom Ye. He's from University of Colorado. And amazing session. This is being done for the second time on special request because a lot of people missed it. So we have also requested him to come up with different content. So stay tuned. Amazing sessions coming up. Please RSVP right now. And I hope to see you all there. The announcement that everyone's been waiting on. Without further ado, today's raffle winner, after going through a random draw, is going to Ashish Gandhi, who's a senior engineer manager at Meta. Vinisha, can you go to the next slide? I've actually added the raffle winner, this thing. Yes. So congrats and thanks for joining, sir. Our team will get in touch with you. And everyone, if this is not you, please do not give up. We are going to announce one more AirPods winner by the end of the day for anyone who has tried out today's demo. Please sign up at the link that is present on your screen, or you can just scan the QR code and it will take you to our website. You just need to make an account and be eligible and be entered to win. I thank both the speakers today for today's presentation and everyone who has attended. Good evening, good morning, and I hope you have a great rest of the week. Take care, everyone, and thanks for attending.
Thanks, folks.
See ya. Bye bye.